The Home Office is offering a communications expert or spin doctor up to £91,000 a year to help convince the public that Labor is tackling the small boats crisis. And to decide as to whether they are tackling the boat crisis or not, let's just look at the numbers. The total number of arrivals since the start of the year is more than 35,000. That's up 33% on the same period last year and on par with the record in 2022. I mean, Esther, I don't think a spin doctor is really what the UK needs, maybe addressing the crisis.
I think they'd have a better chance of making everyone deaf and dumb and blind before they could actually hire a spin doctor that's miraculous enough in talent to convince the public what they're seeing is actually not reality. And they're taking a leaf out of Tony Blair's playbook, trying to recreate sort of an Alistair Campbell situation where they hire a spin doctor. But you can only play that card once. You can only convince the public that the Iraq War is just once. Unfortunately, people are seeing these boats coming across. They're seeing the impacts on their communities. You know, communities that have these migrant hotels filling up areas around the country are also rising up. So you can't hire anyone to do a Houdini act and pretend like what they see before their very eyes is not true. And it's really quite a shame because it didn't need to get this bad. I mean, boat crossings, like you said, are up a third from what they were last year. But the fact is, Keir Starmer ran last year on the promise that the adults were back in the room and these small boats crisis will be tackled. And he cancelled the Rwanda scheme because he called it a gimmick, even though the previous Conservative government had actually hired Australian consultants to basically mimic the Australian model from back in the early 2010s, so we could get this crisis under hand. And nothing has happened. And so now what they're basically they're looking towards the Belgians, whose new prime minister is also very keen on tackling this, and the Italians and the Spanish and the Greeks to actually tackle this, because it's very clear that this government doesn't have a handle on the small boat situation. And what he's trying to do, rolling out this digital ID as a way to kind of weed out people that don't have a right to work in the UK, again, is completely tone deaf. People are not working illegally in the UK because employers that are paying them below minimum wage rates forget that they're illegal. They do it because they can get away with it. And the way to stop it is to basically stop the flow and make sure that no one who comes into Britain illegally can have a right to claim asylum, and certainly not to bring their family over, which is a sham that has actually been going on for years now, believe it or not. There are common sense ways to do this, and yet the government is not interested. Instead, they're throwing away more public money on spin doctors and trying to convince the public that what's before their very eyes is not actually what's happening.
Well, more public money. Let's look at what else they're spending money on. As we know, many parts of the world have really moved on from this woke era that we saw really peak, I think, in 2020, 2021. I mean, in America, woke seems pretty much dead, but not in Britain. It's been revealed that Britain's public sector is splurging £70 million a year on woke diversity officers. This is according to an investigation by The Mail on Sunday. So $70 million a year, Esther, on DEI. I'm not sure if that's the best use of taxpayer money.
Well, it's certainly not, especially because not a single person can actually highlight the public benefit to having people in these roles. I mean, we keep hearing that the government is tight on money and that they have to take winter fuel payments away from pensioners who have paid into the country their entire lives. But somehow there's money to pay DEI officers 60, 70, 80,000 pound salaries to do God knows what. And now this is not a surprise. I mean, in terms of public sector wastage, we see tens of billions of pounds being wasted on quangos and all of these think tanks and these organizations that are basically cronies of whoever's in power at the time. But again, this rubs to the core of the fact that we're being told that we need to have our taxes put up, that energy bills are ridiculously high because somehow we're saving the planet, and there's no money to help people that actually need to be on welfare, for example, like pensioners who can't just go out and get a second job or find a way to pay high energy bills. But somehow there's tens of millions of pounds to waste on people that literally have no public benefit. It's a complete offence. And these DEI officers that have been uncovered in this investigation are across the public sector. So we're talking the NHS, the police, the civil service, education. It's not just isolated to one public sector department. It is the entirety of the public sector, which is a complete insult to the British public. We're told our taxes have to go up, but somehow there's money to pay for these useless roles.